All right, Tulsi Kratz, Bernie Kratz, free radicals of all kinds. I don't care what your political persuasion. I am glad you are here. I'm Dave. I wanted to show a tweet that I actually did over on Twitter. And this is a bit of an experiment here. And this is probably one of my most popular tweets ever. I've gained quite a few subscribers over this tweet. And it's just interesting to see people reacting to it. Iowa polling, again using my scientific intuition, which is likely better than any DNC sanctioned poll. Now, first, straight up, want to be very clear. People will come over here and think this is a clickbait video, but it's a video where I want to kind of prove a point. And I want to also see what happens to the content of this video. Now, the Russian thing, Russiagate, was that a proven conspiracy? Did anyone prove that? No. In fact, the last hearing where Mueller got up there, I don't even think he knew his own name. I think he's the guy that writes that report, supposedly, or someone wrote it for him. He doesn't know what's in the report. It's got no credibility. The media, the so-called mainstream media, followed those reports for 2-3 years, right? Nothing came of it. Trump is now stronger because of all of this, and people like Jimmy Dore and Kyle Kulinski and was it Aaron Matei? All of those guys were saying this is probably going to make Donald Trump stronger, and he's going to use this as a political hammer against his opponents. Once we get to the general election, people ask about it. He can call it a hoax. The tribalists in the Senate, in the House of Representatives, they keep doing this thing where they're going to talk about impeachment some more, and they just keep it in the news, and it just keeps going around. Now, I decided to sanction my own poll. My own poll is based on my own personal intuition. Okay, it's just my own intuition. I'm not saying I went out and polled people. I am watching social media like all good observers. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. I'm on YouTube. I see what's going on. And these platforms, based on the interest that I see in these candidates, reactions to what their campaigns tweet, or their reactions to videos they put out, how enthusiastic their supporters are. Geographically speaking here, I'm taking Iowa, and I'm sort of mentally making a breakdown of the state, and it tends to be progressive and a little quirky and a little interesting. So here are the numbers, and you can take a look at these, and this was retweeted quite a bit. I also did one for New Hampshire, and New Hampshire numbers are a little bit different, believe it or not, than the Iowa numbers, because I'm trying to be, a little bit more intuitive in each state. I may do one for South Carolina, I'm not sure, but I'll have to take a look at some more social media and some other factors. There's a group called Listener that I followed over on Twitter, and they do this kind of stuff in a more professional way, and they use technology basically to figure out what all the buzz is about. And here's how I see it. These are my numbers. Bernie Sanders at 37% in Iowa. Tulsi Gabbard at 16%. Elizabeth Warren at 12%. Joe Biden, former Vice President Joe Biden, at 9%. Andrew Yang also at 9%, so tied with Biden. Kamala Harris at 5%. Pete Buttigieg, I'll try to pronounce it correctly, 3%. Marianne Williamson at 1%, and then you've got other candidates down here with the dreaded asterisk, which for me that's probably 0, or just not enough interest to actually register even 1%. So Sanders and Gabbard, who are the two real independent candidates out there, economic populism here, foreign policy populism here. Warren, who is getting a boost from the media for the most part, who is yet another anointed Hillary Clinton candidate. You also have Joe Biden, who, again, was the odds-on favorite at the beginning, but Joe is having a lot of issues when it comes to cognitive stuff, processing information, slurring his words, putting his words in a jumble, literal word salad, by the way, where it all comes out and it doesn't make much sense. Kamala Harris really probably needs to go home at this point. Same with Mayor Pete. His campaign isn't going anywhere, but both of these two candidates, they're just getting a ton of corporate donations. Marianne Williamson, I think she should stay in. Her voice is needed. I know she's only at 1%, but that's a decision she should make as far as if she continues with her campaign. These other candidates all need to drop out, including Beto O'Rourke, who likes to drop arbitrary F-bombs to seem like he's a tough guy. And, I'll take away the AK-47s and so forth. Okay, that's great. Another commercial for the NRA. Whereas Gabbard and Sanders have a much more sensible approach to the Second Amendment and what they would do as far as background checks and restrictions. That's my independent poll. Okay, just throwing it out there. Now, I'm not sure how the media and how the algorithms will respond to what I'm saying. The reason I'm saying that is because the algorithms were very favorable to anybody who wanted to blame Hillary Clinton's loss on Vladimir Putin, where there's literally no evidence that can be corroborated with that to back it up. Now, some would say, well, Dave, your polls aren't scientific. You're basing it on intuition. That's silly. Well, is it any more silly, though, than what we see in the media every single day? If you want to call this video reverse gaslighting, then it'll accomplish what it's supposed to accomplish. There needs to be another narrative out here. If people are going to run false narratives all day long, I'm going to put one out that is equal to theirs, but probably more accurate, just because I'm doing some casual observations of what people are talking about, rather than just ignoring all of the information. And that's what happens daily in the media. They'll talk to every candidate. There are polls out there, by the way, that CNN, they've put out where they have, Beto O'Rourke at 1%, and they leave Tulsi Gabbard off the poll. She's just not there. And we all know she's higher on the poll than Beto O'Rourke is. So this isn't meant to be tongue-in-cheek, although there is a little bit of what I would call a campiness to this. When I say I'm using my own scientific intuition, a couple of people on Twitter thought, where did you get these poll numbers? And they didn't really look to see what I wrote at the top. They're like, how many women were polled? How many minorities? Well, this is the whole spectrum. And by the way, any poll that uses primarily landlines and people over 50 years old as their primary information gathering system, those polls need to be immediately disqualified or marginalized as a very unscientific poll. So again, I'm not trying to say my poll is equal to theirs, but I would say my poll is probably at least half as reliable as their landline poll, which only interviews people of a certain age. So there you go. I wanted to put this video out. You can follow me on Twitter. I do have a New Hampshire poll that I put out, an intuition-based poll. The numbers are a little bit different. I think Bernie is at 40% in New Hampshire. He's at 37% in Iowa. And I think I'll do a South Carolina poll eventually, since that's one of the earlier primary states. And who knows? Maybe I'll do a few more, because here's the bottom line. If we're all being gaslighted every day, and we're all being told that this is a done deal, that Tulsi's all done, that Bernie's in trouble, that Warren's ahead, that It's Biden, Warren, Biden, and no, oh yeah, Bernie's out there, but he's too angry. This is the new one. Bernie Sanders is too angry. By the way, they said this about Trump, too. Trump was too angry. People want angry. They still want angry. They might want a different kind of angry. They might want a mentally balanced angry. They might want some righteous anger headed toward the establishment. But I think people want someone who's a fighter and shows that they care. When you've got a veteran who shows up at a rally and tells Bernie Sanders he's thinking of ending his life because he has a $130,000 medical bill, and this is a veteran who served our country, and Bernie is upset about that, and people are upset about that. I don't see anything wrong with that. I think those people are normal, and we need more normal in our political discourse. So there you go. My poll. Thank you very much. Feel free to retweet this tweet and also to share this video. And again, make sure you read this part of it here. Okay? I am not claiming I have stats. The only reason I'm doing this is basically to counter a narrative that was just completely out of balance with reality. And if this information gets out there, who knows? Maybe these people will start conducting real polls. But in the meantime, you can go with mine instead. See you soon, everybody.